Okay. Apologies for the techie delay, as I always have. Anyhow, I hope you all are well. Um, Sorry, I'm still organizing my screens. All right, this is good enough. Anyway, I hope you guys are all well, and the summer time is coming to an end. I know, at least for most of us on the West Coast, or probably like Central West, school's back in session, and it's kind of like unofficial fall. I know you East Coast folks are ta trailing a little bit behind. Generally, school starts this coming Tuesday after Labor Day. So that's what I'm talking about this week. If you got the email sort of talking about how to strategize Labor Day weekend specifically, just because it's timely and it's here. But this theme and conversation really holds true for kind of every weekend, every holiday, every social event that pops up. And then specifically diving into just like some awareness around seasonal favorites. It's still hot. It's still like, super hot a lot of places. So like summertime is margarita season. We're moving into fall. Fall is often pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin spice everything. People are excited for the weather to turn chilly, so it's like lots of candy, coffee everywhere. So just some awareness around things that are otherwise innocuous, particularly with liquids. I think like a lot of times it's like, okay, I'm diligent about tracking calories, I'm diligent about my goals, I'm going to record everything, but like, oh, liquids, so like they get missed a lot, and there's actually a lot of sneaky stuff there. So talking about awareness, talking about how to go into weekends and holidays to enjoy yourself and have fun, because that's really the crux of it is none of you shouldn't be feeling restricted all the time. You shouldn't be feeling like you can't enjoy the good things in life. And like this is my opinion, and I come from a sort of philosophy. It's like, come on, we're only here once. We have to enjoy the good stuff in life. I want to enjoy the good stuff in life. However, that's going to be balanced with like certain goals, overall health goals or physique goals or
E.
whatever. So if you want to enjoy the good stuff in life, um, if you want to enjoy the good stuff in life and pursue your goals, you have to find that good old balance and good old moderation. So here we go. I'm popping over to the email here, talking about pumpkin spice tailgates and staying on track without missing out. So, exactly just sort of what I talked about there. So Labor Day it kicks off fall, and it kicks off the season of lots of things, tailgates, football games, bonfires, homecoming events, barbecues, and pumpkin spice everything, whether it be your coffee or your coffee cake or whatever. We love the fall vibes. I'm a fall girl. I'm a fall birthday. I love September and October. I think most of us do. Probably most of us maybe fall into the basic B category. And it's lovely when the flannels and the pumpkins and that time of year comes out. So how do we enjoy some of the fun of that season while still pursuing our goals? And the bottom line is you don't need to be perfect. It's just about awareness, some smart swaps sometimes, and consistency. So, and if any of you are in one-on-one coaching, this is sort of what we talk about through and through. Um, that like there's no right or wrong choice ever. It's what are the trade-offs for these choices? So like it's not like um it's like I don't think any of us as coaches would ever say like no to a cocktail or two, or no to a specialty coffee or an out dinner. But it's about sort of like understanding the trade-offs and being prepared for those trade-offs. What might we see tomorrow if we make those choices? And with more awareness and understanding the trade-offs, we'll just be better equipped to make the decision as to whether we partake or not. And sometimes we're still going to absolutely partake and enjoy it and know what to expect the next day, and it not sit quite as heavy on us. We were prepared and we get right back in the groove. And then sometimes we opt out of that choice because we don't necessarily want to wake up to the trade-offs the next morning. So we'll break it all down. In regards to alcohol, it is kind of its own thing. We know that for macronutrients, we have protein, carbs, and fat. Um, Protein and carbs count as 7 calories, 4 calories per gram. Fat is generally 9 calories per gram. It's not exactly perfect. There's some nuance and variability there, but roughly that's how we calculate it. Alcohol is its own thing. It has 7 calories per gram. So it sits between um, carbs and protein and fat. Additionally, and I think the important nuance of alcohol is separate from the calories per gram that you're consuming. You're not getting any micronutrient value, any nutrient value from your alcohol. Um, so when we move into like talking about coffee, for example, there is going to be a little bit of nuance and a little bit of different. You're going to see that the candy coffees blow the booze out of the water, more or less, in terms of calories. However, the flip side of that for the coffee, it's milk. So you are getting some, animal fat and you are getting some protein. You're getting some nutrient value from the milk in the coffee. You're not getting any nutrient value from the alcohol. So again, like, calories are one thing, nutrients are another. So just sort of awareness of the whole sphere of the picture. Um, Alcohol does reduce muscle protein synthesis, so you're not going to recover quite as well. Alcohol will disrupt sleep. That's kind of the biggest thing I would say in regards to like my decision making when it comes to alcohol is how it's going to impact sleep. Because whether you feel tipsy or drunk or not, it will impact your ability to fall asleep or it'll impact your quality of sleep. So how much deep sleep and REM sleep you're actually getting. So maybe you feel like you were hit by a truck and you sleep really hard. Your sleep quality might not be that good. And that's why you wake up the next day and you're still really tired as part of that, potential hangover or just lethargy the next day. You probably didn't go through the proper amount of deep sleep and REM sleep. Appetite regulation, sure. And then the sleep thing is also impacted by like how close to bed, you know. So like there is something to be said for like if you are gonna have a cocktail, you're gonna have a cocktail, maybe make the decision to be like, hey, I'm gonna enjoy my cocktail at happy hour or lunchtime rather than like late night. It will impact your sleep slightly less if you make some of those choices. So it's always like awareness and trade-offs. Um, it raises cortisol and it can lower testosterone, both of which are going to be impactful for fat loss and muscle growth. So you see some calorie guides here, and these are approximates. Every type of beer is going to be different. Every wine is going to be different. You can make a much lighter margarita. You can make a much heavier margarita. So beer about 150 calories, wine about 120, and these are going to be like your standard pours. A skinny margarita is going to be lighter, like I said. A classic margarita maybe between 300 and 400. And then there are those, kind of sugar bomb margaritas, which are going to be 400 plus probably. A hard seltzer around 100. So this is sort of what I was talking about, just deciding when it's worth it. One or two drinks in no way, shape, or form will derail your goals. Um, it's just awareness around like, do I want to make this choice today? Is this an appropriate decision to make? I know what's going to happen tomorrow morning in terms of how I feel and the scale and sleep. And I get right back into the groove. And a couple days later, it's like it didn't happen. And then sort of the stacking drinks and wings and dessert and tailgating and candy coffee, that kind of thing, like saying yes to all the things, that will add up, particularly if you're doing it every weekend. So again, awareness and trade-offs. Um, Moving into other liquid calories and coffees, this is really when candy coffee season gets into high gear. Um, Most seasonal drinks are sugar bombs in disguise. So some kind of surprising statistics. Again, these are rough estimates. Your pumpkin spice latte grande with whip, about 420 calories and 50 grams of sugar. Your caramel frap, about 380, 54 grams of sugar, sweet cream cold brew, about 250. Again, they're liquids, so they don't do a good job of satiating you. They digest quickly, don't fill you up, and then very quickly and easily push you over your calorie targets, just because they're kind of sneaky like that, because they're liquids. Um, so some tips there is definitely save your candy coffee for a treat, not a daily habit. So, just like a special occasion. Um, Go half sweet or sugar-free syrup. That can save a lot. Order a small, skip the whip, sub in foam for flavor. So you can make some adjustments to take off a lot of the calories as well. And I think this is like this one and the first one. Like these style of coffee should definitely be viewed as treats because they are. Think of it like dessert, not just coffee. So um, for most folks, that means probably not part of your every morning routine. In terms of like fitting it into your goals and making sure you're optimizing protein and fiber and things like that. Because those, like, even if you can fit it into your macros, it's still like, did you get enough protein and fiber before you put the coffee into the equation? So, some food for thought there when entering into MyFitnessPal. So, here are some hacks for enjoying this season of eating and enjoying the good things in life because I am really passionate about like you have to have the good things in life. You have to have your favorite things, and it's about learning that balance um, and how to fit it in moderation. So I think this is a great one. I talk about this a lot. All of us coaches talk about this a lot for all of our clients when like going out to dinner or when going on vacation. So front loading the day sort of across the board is going to be helpful. It's absolutely going to be helpful for hitting your protein and fiber goals. It's going to be helpful for hitting your water target. It's going to be helpful for getting outside and hitting your step goals. We are all generally much better at doing things in the morning. We all generally have much more control of our day earlier in the day than later. We're less tired. We're less prone to be like, I'll do it tomorrow. So the more that you can put at the beginning of the day, the more likely you're going to do it. So starting the day with 30 to 40 grams of protein and 30 to 40 grams of protein. And then I'd say making sure there's, like 7 to 10 maybe, but it's like 7+ grams of fiber, hopefully in your breakfast or your breakfast one and breakfast two, to start to stay fuller and reduce cravings later in the day. An egg wrap and berries are a great idea. There's all sorts of good ideas. I think a couple calls ago we dove into breakfast ideas. All of us coaches gave our sort of favorite breakfast. I do a lot of breakfast casserole, so it's prepped the day before and it's very protein and fiber forward. I do a lot of overnight oats that are protein and fiber forward. I know the other coaches talked about lots of really yummy, delicious kind of like building breakfast sandwiches types of things. Greek yogurt and berries and seeds and nuts and chia is a great combination always. Cottage cheese toast for the win, avocado toast for the win. These are all sort of good examples of creating that fiber, whole food, protein forward breakfast. Picking your indulgence. So this is sort of the moderation piece. Do you want the margarita? Awesome. Are you craving a pumpkin spice latte? It's your first of the season? Absolutely go for it. Are the nachos calling your name at the game? Get them, but perhaps not all three and perhaps not all three in the same day. So choosing one indulgence per event, I think, is kind of a good strategy, or just sort of an overall theme of moderation. Similar here, balancing the plate. At a barbecue, filling half of your plate with protein and veggies, similar to probably how you do at home, making sure your plate is going to be protein and veggie forward, is going to be a really great hack. So rather than sort of going straight for the potato salad and the macaroni salad and the pastries and the cookies, put at least half of your plate with like a great meat option and as many veggies as you can find at the event and slightly smaller portions of those other sides there's nothing wrong with those sides. There's nothing bad about those sides. It's just awareness around the fact that they are likely going to be more calorie forward. They're likely going to be more carbohydrate forward. Again, there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates. Um, they might be more fat forward. There's nothing wrong with fat. It's just these are going to be things that take up a lot of calories in your calorie bank account. So it's awareness there. Um, Okay, so some swaps here for you as well. So this is from sort of the mindset of minimizing like calorie damage or minimizing like how much these treats are going to impact that calorie bank account. For lack of better words, if you are tracking it on, if you're tracking for maintenance or tracking for fat loss, if you're shooting for a certain calorie target and you want to stay within those targets at these events and over these weekends, there are ways to sort of be a little smarter with your choices if you're still going to indulge in these things. So for example, in terms of the booze, you could do a hard seltzer instead of a beer. You might save almost 100 calories there. Definitely a skinny margarita in lieu of the more sugary ones with lots of like juices and syrups and stuff in there. A skinny margarita might look something like tequila, soda, and lime, and a tiny little bit of an agave. So that keeps it nice and light. For coffee swaps, talked a little bit about this already. Iced coffee and sugar-free syrup, plus foam rather than the full-on pumpkin spice latte. Order a size small, ask for half the amount of syrup. So again, sort of mentioned those before. In terms of food, and again, it depends. There might be times where you don't want to make the swaps. You want the real like honkin' bacon cheeseburger. That's fine. Just sort of like, how is that going to fit into your plan for the day, or for zooming out, how is that going to fit into your plan for the week? So sort of making those decisions. But if you did want to make some calorie saving swaps, you might be looking at the grilled chicken and the turkey burger instead of the cheeseburger and hot dogs. You might get the beef burger, but you might go bunless with lots of the veggies instead of like the cheese and the bacon and the avocado and the bun. In terms of your dips, you might err more towards salsa dips and Greek yogurt dips and then mustard as a condiment than like mayo-based options. Same idea with like the sides. So if there's like a mayo coleslaw and a vinegar coleslaw, you might go for the vinegar coleslaw. If there's a mayo potato salad and a mustard potato salad, you might go for the mustard potato salad. Just small little adjustments where you're getting the taste and flavor profile and feeling like you're enjoying your potato salad, but you're saving a little bit in terms of calories. In terms of like munchy types of food, veggies and hummus, instead of or more than maybe chips and queso for some food swaps. And then movement. So like always remembering it's not just a calorie lever, there's also a movement lever. So remembering to move, whether it's a walk, whether it's playing yard games at this event. So like rather than sitting in a lawn chair, get up and chase the kids around a little bit and get up and play cornhole and get up and play pickleball or whatever yard games you're playing. Try to grab a workout early in the morning before you head off to the tailgate. So movement will definitely balance some of the indulgences that are offered later in the day. And definitely without the having to earn your food mindset, movement coming from a place of like feeling good and vibrant, and particularly like the getting outside and the walking is going to feel good for a whole host of reasons, from physical and mental, to set the tone for the whole day and set you up to have like a better mood day, not having to do with earning your food later. So that's a separate thing. So I love this, like one weekend of fun does not equal failure. So even if you're not making the swaps, even if you do have, one more cocktail than you anticipated, even if you do have a candy coffee in the morning and two cocktails later in the day, if you're off one weekend, it does not equal failure. Like there's room to plan for enjoying some of the things, and every now and then we go bigger and harder than we anticipate. Even still, it does not equal failure. You're allowed to enjoy the holiday. All that matters is getting back on track. Um, like getting back in the groove, getting back to your sleep quality, getting back to your water in the morning, getting back to your walk in the morning, getting back to your whole foods, and you will be fine. You're absolutely allowed to have a drink, a latte, or a dessert. I want you to have a drink or a latte or a dessert. The key is what you do most of the time, not what you do on Labor Day weekend. Um, so raise your glass, eat the burger, cheer for your team this coming weekend and all fall, and then get back to your normal habits. That's what consistency actually looks like. So I don't know if you coaches had any other like tips or tricks for weekend success, um, or if anybody's doing something fun this Labor Day season and or this Labor Day and wanted to share your strategy for that event.
Griff,
I, oh, go ahead, Autumn.
I was just gonna say, I just like to plan ahead as
What
much
I
as
was
I can.
gonna say.
So, I mean, if I know I'm going to a big bash to watch football, I really try to eat lean and clean the rest of the day. Like, just try to lock it in, and then maybe even the day before, have a little bit of preparation for it. So you can always fit it in, right? That's the fun part about tracking your food, is it's such a useful tool to do that for. So that's my tip.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is it's amazing how much flexibility you can have if you just plan ahead. Where like for me, it's like if I don't plan ahead, maybe my we'll bake cookies and I'll have a couple cookies and then I'm like, oh, now we're going to an event and I'm low on protein, high on carbs and fats, and I didn't really think that through. Then it's like, shoot, it's harder to make those decisions. Where if it's morning and I think through the day, it's really easy to be like, okay, we're going to that event later. I know we're making chocolate chip cookies today too. I'm gonna like have those tomorrow, and or decide, or maybe I'll bring a salad to the event and a bunch of chicken to share, and that makes it really easy to be on point because I actually don't really want anything that's going to be there. I'd rather have the cookies. So you can just like it's not like so black and white and you can't have this, you can't have this. It's like you can have it all, but thinking ahead and deciding what you actually care to have. Um, and makes it a lot easier. So
I
yeah,
think for me, it's not showing up to certain events hungry.
for sure.
Um, like when you are well fueled, right? Your decision making is a lot easier, period. That doesn't mean I don't eat anything at certain social gatherings and things like that. But if I'm not so hungry or hungry at the get-go, it's a lot easier to be like, ooh, that looks really good and I really want to try that versus I'm just gonna kind of leave the rest because why, right? Um, so well hydrated and
Yeah.
well fueled earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think sort of what you all were talking about too just sort of reminded me of a couple things that I talk with clients about in terms of like you can have it all, it's just planning in advance. And that's one of the great reasons why pre-tracking your food and pre-entering into whatever, like if you're using MyFitnessPal, whatever you're using, if you can put what you know is going to happen in advance, you can sort of see how the cookie crumbles and make decisions accordingly. Also, sometimes it might make sense to zoom out and have much more of that weekly view than the daily view. And again, it will depend. I mean, sometimes you want to um, make the flexibility work on a daily basis. But sometimes you know one day is just like you're going to plan and prepare for it to be a much higher calorie day. So then you might zoom out and look at the week. So if I know Saturday I'm going to a couple barbecues or football games or whatever, it's going to be a day and I want to eat X, Y, and Z. So no matter how it shakes out, I'm going to be 400 calories over my target. I can plan for that and like Monday through Thursday try to be 100 calories under my target. So then zooming out at that week goal, I still stayed right on the money in terms of targets. And again, you're not always going to know, you're not always going to be able to have that foresight. Sometimes that makes more sense than others. Sometimes it's like, okay, I was 400 calories high this day. I need to shake it off and just move on.
Yeah.
Um, so it always kind of will depend, but knowing that you know, like you have you have that control, you have that flexibility, you have that awareness to make the decisions and sort of knowing what the trade-offs are to making those decisions. I just think help arm you with tools going into these kinds of events.
I think also, I just wanted to say, hearing you talk about like saving the calories, if you are also, you're tracking your calories on a daily basis and you have a day earlier in the week, you know you're gonna do something on the weekend, for example, and now you have had a busy day and you haven't reached your calorie goal and you're not really feeling hungry, you could go to bed and just skip it. Like that's the time to skip it and then save those calories for what you know is coming up later in the week. So instead of then like, oh, I need to reach my goal, then you can use that for a later event. I wouldn't like recommend doing that all the time, like several days of the week. Of course, we want consistency, but that is definitely also one way that I personally have used, just making sure that then I'm kind of getting it all.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Anybody have anything else? Okay, I think that's it then. Well, I wish you all the best and most fun Labor Day weekend, and I hope you have great celebrations, whatever it is you're doing, and great barbecues, and have a pumpkin spice latte. Just make your choices the way that makes sense. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Everyone.